In this video, I would like to show you how to set up your first Fiverr gig. The first thing that of course you got to do is you got to click right here on switch to selling and then click up here on gigs. So as soon as we have done that, we can go to the right and we can create a new gig. I need to delete a couple of gigs before we do that because you can only create 7 gigs at a time. So let's delete one and then let's click right here on create a new gig. As soon as we have done that, we end up at this page right here. It basically asks us what exactly is going to be the title of that gig. And it says, I will do something I'm really good at. Well, of course, in our case, we could, for instance, say, I will translate from English to German. Or for instance, I could say, I will do, perfect transcriptions for you. Or for instance, I will do flawless XY for you. So you can basically put in here whatever you like, but it should be in this format. So if for instance you type something in, it already says right here, I will. And what we can do right here for this example is, for instance, we can say, I will translate from English to German for you. Then down below, we can set the category. For instance, in our case, this is going to be writing and translation. And then we can select a subcategory. Now, as you can see, there are lots and lots of different kinds of subcategories. And what you got to do is you got to figure out which subcategory fits your gig. So in our case, for instance, of course, we do translation. So we click right here on translation. Of course, if you want to choose any of these other niches or categories, you can do that at any given time. So for instance, music and audio, video and animation, digital marketing, business, and so on and so on. But of course, I think I don't have to tell you that if you offer translation, it should not be, as far as I'm concerned. For instance, in the programming and tech category, it should be in the writing and translation one. All right, so then we scroll down, and down here we can add the gig metadata. So this is basically the data that is going to define the actual gig. So for instance, right here, it says, please select the languages. And in our case, what do? Well, we translate from English to German. So let's add that to here. Maybe we can also translate other languages, let's say or let's do the vice versa one. So for instance, from German to English as well. And if you like, we can of course add other languages here as well. Then down below, we can also select a so-called document type. So for instance, we can say, well, we only translate, let's say, marketing and sales content, or we do especially scripts, or we do user manuals, and so on and so on. I think we're not necessarily forced to choose one, but for this example, I'm just going to use one. So let's, for instance, say we translate books and literature, or let's actually do general conversational. That's a bit more broad. Then down below, the industry expertise, if I have any. Well, for instance, in this case, we could add some industry where we are knowledgeable in. So for instance, business and finance, entertainment and culture, gaming or video games, government, and so on and so on. Now, of course, don't just choose one because you think you're forced to, rather choose one because you're really knowledgeable in that field. So let's, for instance, say you actually studied law, then maybe it makes sense to choose the legal option or to choose the government option. Or maybe if you're trained in marketing and media translation, you should choose those. If you're unsure, then pick the one that you're most familiar with and that you say, well, I'm knowledgeable in. So in my case, for instance, I'm going to do business and finance, and then I can add a couple of tags to this. Now, the tags are important because these are the ones that will define our gig and let other people search for our gig. For instance, what we could do is we could add, let's say, as a search tag, translation. So let's add translation maybe, or translator. Maybe let's add translation again, or something similar, translate. Then we add English translation, then maybe German translation, or English German, and then maybe we also do some proofreading, so we add proofread to this. All right, so then we click on save and continue. And as soon as we've done that, we end up at this point right here. We now have to add the scope and the pricing. On Fiverr, there are 3 packages, as you can see up here. Now, 3 packages basically means that there are 3 options for you to price your gig. For instance, what you could do is you could say, well, I have one option that is very cheap. I have one option that is a bit more expensive. And then I have some kind of premium version that people can book as well. Now, when you start out as a Fiverr seller, you first of all only have that basic, let's say the basic package, but you can just click right here on try now, and then you can add all of these 3 packages right here. Now, should you do 1 or should you do 3? It really depends on what you're selling. But if, for instance, you offer something that gets cheaper the more people book it, then I would perhaps go with a 3 package model. So for instance, if you have, let's say, a basic model where you translate, let's say, 100 words for $5, and you would do, let's say, 1,000 not for $50, but actually you would do it for, let's say, 40. And if you then do 10,000, you do it even for less per word, then this model will actually work. If you say, well, I don't want to decrease my price when people book more, then of course you can only go with 1 package, which you can then call basic. So basically just leave it at that. But in my case, I'm just going to add these 3 packages to it. And now let's fill in these packages. All right, so the first one is, of course, the basic one. For instance, what we could do is we could call this is actually the name of the package, let's say 100 words package, 100 words package. Then this one is 1,000 words package, 1,000 words package, and this one is, let's say, 10,000 words package. Then down below we can add the details of our offering. In our case, this is going to be, let's say, we will do, or I will translate 100 words for you from English to German and vice versa. All right. And if you like, you can then just copy that, or if you only, let's say, offer that in German, English to German, then you can just copy that, put that in here, change that to 1,000 words, and right here, change this to 10,000 words. All right, so we are already done with the first part. Now the next thing is we have to add a delivery time. So how long does it take us to actually get done with this job? Now in our case, we could, for instance, say for 100 words, we don't take more than a day. For 1,000 words, we perhaps take, let's say, 3 days. And for 10,000 words, it maybe takes us, let's say, 7 days to get this done. Of course, you can choose whatever time you like. You don't necessarily have to choose 1 day or 3 days or 7 days. You can also go with something much larger, like 29 days or 11 days or whatever you like. And then down below, we can add the revisions, which just basically means that if someone is unhappy with the job that you've done, that they can basically say, please do a revision of that job. I'm unhappy with this. Please change a couple of things. Well, you can offer 0, which I would not recommend you to do. I would actually always go with unlimited. Now, why would I go with unlimited? Are people actually going to go and say, well, I want to have another revision. I want to have another revision. I want to have another revision. Or are they going to be happy pretty soon? Well, in most cases, this is just another selling point. People don't need unlimited revisions. In most cases, when you sell on Fiverr, they're probably asking you max for like 2, maybe 3 revisions if they're really unhappy with the work that you've done. In most cases, people have, for instance, a couple of little things that they want to have changed, and then they basically add 1 revision to the gig. Or they want to have 1 revision for their offer. In our case, we should go with unlimited so that people see, all right, this person is really, confident in what they're offering. If for instance something goes wrong, they offer unlimited revisions, so I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about whether this person will actually screw me over. This person is actually offering unlimited revisions, so if something is wrong, I can always come back to that person and get it fixed. That is a great selling point. So I would use unlimited all the time. If you feel unsure about this, or perhaps you don't want to offer unlimited, you can of course go for anything you like. I would offer then at least like 2 or 3 revisions. I wouldn't go with 0 revisions. That really makes a bad impression. I would rather always go with unlimited. All right, so then down here, we can add the number of words. For instance, in this case, it's going to be 100 words that we're going to translate. Here it's 1,000, and here it's 10,000 words that we translate. Then, do we also offer proofreading? Well, of course we do, because we want our translation to be flawless. Or when people only want proofreading, then of course we can do the proofreading for them. So yes, we should offer proofreading. Then down below, document formatting. Do we actually format the document? document? Well, that really depends on whether you want to offer it or not. I'm not going to offer it for this gig right here. Then down below, the language style guide. Are we going to do that? Are we going to improve the style? Are we going to help with, for instance, the style? We can, for instance, say yes, because we, see that as another way to earn money. Then down below, transcription, do we do that? Well, we perhaps don't do that. And then subtitling, so for instance, adding, let's say, subtitles to a video or something like that. Do we do that? Well, no, we don't offer that. All right, so then down below, we can add the pricing for, let's say, 100 words. We could, let's say, charge $5. Then for 1,000 words, let's say we charge $40. And then for 10,000 words, we maybe, let's say, let's do 380. All right, so 380 would be for 10,000 words, 40 for 1,000 words, and $5 for 100 words. I think this is actually pretty good. I would always recommend you to do the following. Go cheaper the more people buy. So for instance, in the beginning, or the basic package costs you, let's say, $5 per 100 words. In this case, it would only be $4 per 100 words. And in this case, it's only going to be $3.8 for 100 words. So go cheaper the more, the more work you do. All right, so then down below, we can add a couple of so-called gig extras. So people can then book extra things on your gig. So for instance, additional words. If, for instance, people want, let's say, additional words for the basic plan or the basic package, let's say for another $5, they get another, let's say, 100 words or something like that. I don't actually think that we need to add this, because in most cases people can just buy multiples, which means that they can, buy this, for instance, like 2 times if they need 2,000 words done, or they can book this 3 times if they need 30,000 words done, or they can book this 5 times if they need 500 words done. All right, so do we offer anything else right here, or do we charge extra? Well, for instance, we can click right here in transcription, or to charge extra, we could do that. But in our case, we just go straight for a translation service, so we don't add anything extra. All right, so then we click on continue. And as soon as we've done that, we need to describe our gig. And in our case, I'm just going to say, let's say I'm going to start with, would you, or do you need, are you looking for a professional English, German, English translator? Then I will be here for you. Then I'll be here. Well, let's actually change this. Are you looking for a professional English, German English translator? I offer flawless translation from German to English and vice versa. German to English and vice versa. I'm an experienced translator with 5+ years, or let's do it different. I have 5+ years in experience in working as a professional translator, working on smaller to more complex jobs. And then here is what I am offering. Here is what I am offering. And then you can add a couple of bullet points to this. For instance, translation, German to English. And then you can add another one. Let's say a translation, English to German. Proofreading. Let's actually, I think, capitalize this. So go with translation, German to English and English to German, proofreading, and then maybe we offer something else. So just add whatever you're offering. And then down below, we could add something like, please message me before you book your gig so that we can discuss the pricing. I'm looking forward for your message. Best, and then, for instance, my name. All right. That is actually, I think, not a bad description. Like, the more you add to this, in my mind, the better. Like, if, for instance, you actually show them which experiences you have and what you've been doing in the last couple of years and all these services that you're offering, like, that is a good thing. People want to read about you. They want to learn about you. They want to learn what you're doing, what you're offering, and the more you add right here, the better. So as you can see, we still got a couple of characters left. So basically we are now at half. You can add more if you want to, but I think this is actually fine. Down below, we can add some frequently asked questions. So for instance, if people have some questions like, let's say, do you do proofreading as well? Do you do proofreading as well? And then I could say something like, yes, I do. Click on add, and afterwards then if you want to add even more FAQs, then you can add right here, or you can click right here on add FAQ. Alright, so then click on save and continue, and now we move on to the next step, which is basically that we gotta tell the buyer what to do. So what do we need from the buyer? For instance, what we could do is we could say, please send me your text in a Word document. And there we go. Then we click on add. This is basically what we need, not more, not less. So please send me your text in a Word document, and then click save and continue. And the next step is now that we have to add a gallery. Now, my personal advice would be this. I would first of all use a couple of photos that are professional, that show what you're offering, but also at the same time, I would basically upload a video of yourself describing your gig and what you're offering. Now, in general, if you, for instance, don't know how to design a proper gig photo, I would recommend you to use tools such as Canva. Canva is a free design tool that you can use in order to create your own designs online. And in this case, for instance, we could add something like a presentation. So click right here on presentation design, and then you can create your own little presentation right here. So what we could do is, let's say, click on any of those right here, and then you could describe what you're offering. So this, for instance, would be like a little template that we could use. And what I would do, and what I would recommend you to do, is this: just explain what you're doing. So let's say, we could call this Fiverr gig description, maybe Fiverr gig description. And we could then add all the different things that we are offering. So let's just go with a couple of things right here. So let's say we are offering translation. We are offering proofreading. Let's say we also do grammar checks. Then maybe we do spelling checks. And then a couple more things. And then what we could do is we could just add a couple of, a little bit of text right here in order to explain what we are offering. Like this, for instance, would be an easy way to do this. Just create your little design right here. And if you're done with this, just click up here on download, just as a PNG. Click on download here again, and then you can upload it at any given time to your Fiverr gig right here. And also, I would recommend you to go with a video. Just record, for instance, a video of yourself. You can use your smartphone. You can use a camera if you have one, and just, record something that makes you look good, in the sense that you, first of all, present what you're doing, that you're presenting your gig, and in general, that you're a great freelancer. And then down here, we can also add a couple of PDFs. So let's, for instance, say you're into, let's say, ghostwriting, and you're ghostwriting books for other people. Then maybe I would add a PDF right here that is a sample of the work that you've already done. And as soon as you're done with that, you can just click right here on save and continue. And then afterwards, you are at the publish section. So then you can publish your gig, and your gig will be visible to everyone. Now, as soon as you're done with your gig, and I'm going to save this just for a second, the gig will show up basically right here under gigs. So basically, this is the gig that we just set up, and then all the other gigs are going to show up right here. As you can see, these are all sample gigs. The more gigs you create, the more, of course, you're going to see that the gigs received impressions and clicks and views and artists and so on and so on. And your active gigs are basically going to be up here. So just click right here on active, and these are then the gigs that people can book from you. All right, so that was it now here for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we can see each other in the next one.